Welcome to the Make More Money as a Dietitian podcast, where we talk about all things money, mindset, and marketing so your nutrition business can thrive and you can make a bigger impact in the marketplace. I am your host, Christine Diane, registered dietitian and money mindset expert. Let's get started with today's episode. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Make More Money as a Dietitian. So today I have a special guest for you guys, and you may be very familiar with who she is, but I just wanted to plant a little bit of a seed before I introduce the entire interview. Today's episode is with Erica Julson, also known as the Unconventional RD. You may be a part of her really large Facebook community, and you may be on her email list. You may have purchased some of her amazing digital products. And I wanted to feature Erica on the podcast because she's someone who I feel is doing so good, staying in her own lane, so to speak, like really just staying true to her unique gifts and talents. And she's making good money as a dietitian. She is in the six-figure range and she's doing it her way. And I hope that this inspires you. It is New Year's Eve at the time that this has been published, and this is the perfect time for you to listen to this and be inspired for the new year ahead. So let's go ahead and listen to this interview with Erica Julson, also known as the Unconventional RD. Let's go. All right, here we are. And today's interview is with the wonderful Erica Julson. Oh my God. If you guys do not know Erica, you should know Erica. And I am going to just start off by allowing her to talk a little bit about who she is, what she does, and all of the things relevant to that. And then we'll get into asking some good, juicy questions. So go ahead, Erica, introduce yourself to everyone.
Well, hello. I'm so excited to be here. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So my brand is the Unconventional RD. I am a dietitian. I've been one for like 6 years now. And that business, the Unconventional RD brand, sort of was born out of my own desire to find a like-minded community of people who are trying to do something unconventional with their RD careers, particularly in the online realm. So I was trying to be a food blogger and didn't really know any other dietitian food bloggers at the time. So I created this Facebook community is really how it started. And probably where most people maybe know me from is my Facebook group, the Unconventional RD community. And we just talk about ways to start, grow, and scale unconventional income streams. So I have some online courses, podcasts, also called the Unconventional RD Podcast. And that's really where my main focus is right now. But as we'll probably get into, I've done a lot of things in the RD space.
Yeah, you have. And I want to get into that. So let me, I'm going to be a good host and go through some of the questions that I said I was going to ask you. And of course, we can always diverge off of that path. But I want to know, just first and foremost, how did you first get interested in nutrition as a field, as a career that you wanted to pursue?
I'm not one of those people who was like, knew I wanted to be a dietitian straight out of the gate. I went to college undeclared. I did inquire about nutrition once I got there, but UCLA did not have a nutrition major, which I, of course, didn't look into before I went. So I did something else. I did psychobiology and then kind of got into the world of neuroimaging research. And I worked in a lab in Pennsylvania for a few years. And during that process was kind of having like a mini midlife crisis. Like, I think this might be a little too behind the scenes for me. Like I'm in this room with no windows, like running like brain imaging analysis and like it takes like 3 years to get anything published. And it just felt like, a little stagnant, and not quite right, not quite the right fit. So then I was just like, okay, well, what do I want to do? What do I love? And I tried to go back to kind of like my passions. And I had always had a love for food and cooking. That was kind of where my interest in nutrition stems from. So I had started Googling like careers in food, careers in nutrition. And then that's how I found out what a dietitian was. I actually had never heard of a dietitian before that, which I think is kind of common for a lot of people. So then I actually had a friend from college whose older sister was a dietitian. So I connected with her and asked her about the career. And then I was like, all right, this sounds like something I might like. So I went back to school for a master's in nutrition and did the internship and all that through a coordinated program. And then that was it. I didn't really have a clear path on what I wanted to do once I became a dietitian. I just knew that if I followed something I enjoyed, that it would work out. So that was my plan.
Well, I think that's really a good point. Like if you do something that you enjoy, that you truly enjoy, then all the things will just unfold in the way that it needs to. And of course, as we all know, as humans, everything is not going to just unfold like so beautifully all of the time. But yes, as long as you really feel like you're doing what you enjoy, and you said that you kind of had a knack for the cooking and all of those things. So it sounded like that was just your window of entry. And I love that. So describe your early career as an RD. What did you start off doing?
Well, I've never actually had a formal dietitian job. I've always kind of done my own thing. Partially because when I graduated, and then it was like, all right, cool. Like I'm a dietitian. What am I going to do? And none of the jobs that I saw really spoke to me. At the time I had been doing some tutoring to support myself during grad school. And when I compared what I could earn through those types of side gigs versus employment full-time as a dietitian, it was like I could actually earn more doing this other thing for less time out of my schedule. So I, thought it over, and it was kind of one of those things of like, do I want to like make less money and earn this quote unquote experience to maybe see where that takes me? Or do I want to maybe earn more money with less time and then have the freedom in my schedule to figure it out and do my own thing? Because I've always kind of had like an entrepreneurial spirit. I was the kid like selling t-shirts and like, my lemonade stand and all that. So so I had been food blogging actually through grad school, just kind of off and on. I was doing it more seriously before I got into grad school. And then it was like, oh, hello, I have no life now. So that was still happening. And I almost, in my biggest, wildest dreams, I was like, I could be a food blogger and that would be my whole career. And, so I don't want to let that go. So I was using the extra space in my schedule to work on that. Even though I didn't quite know what I was doing. Now I know how I should have done it in retrospect. But that's what I was doing in the beginning. And then I realized I needed to make a little more money than what I was earning. So then I started to think of how I could trade my time for dollars more in the dietetics realm. So I did some kind of just like VA support work for other dietitians. I did some freelance recipe development and photography. I tried to open up a private practice, but my heart was never really in it. It was more like, this is just something I can do to support myself right now. Like that's all at that time I could see as my opportunity to make money. So I kind of dabbled in that, but it was only ever like 2 days a week maximum. And I never really loved it. So, then eventually I got into freelance writing for healthline.com and loved that. So, then when I got that job, it was really well paying. Like I could make as much writing an article as I could seeing a client for a month. So, or more. So I was like, okay, well, I enjoy more. It's easier. It pays just as well. There's no ceiling. Just write as much as I want and earn as much as I want essentially at that time. So then I shut down my private practice. This is a very long, convoluted story. Along the way, I started other things. Good. I started a membership site for learning about functional nutrition because that's kind of the space that I was trying to work in when I was working with clients. And I felt overwhelmed at the time. Like I wanted to learn how to apply all these principles, but I couldn't quite afford the formal training programs because they're like several $1,000s. And, so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try to learn and read the research myself and take notes and all that, which I actually think is a great way to learn. So I was making notes for myself and then sharing them with other people. And at some point people were like, oh, these are really good. I would pay for these. And then I was like, oh, bing, like business idea.
Yes.
So then I just took all my notes, put them behind a paywall, and people could pay monthly or annually to access them. And then I would just add to them over time. So that was my first successful online business thing, which still exists today, but I'm in the process of kind of shifting it from being paid to free, but monetized with ads and affiliate links. So yeah, I did that and then launched the Unconventional RD community as I was looking for more peer support around creating online businesses. And that's sort of taken off. And then as the group grew and grew and people were posting more and more questions, I'm sure you relate, you start to see the same questions kind of come up again and again. And you're like, yeah, you're like, is this really the best way to help people? Like, I feel like I'm just kind of like repeating myself. Like, should I do something a little more organized, like a little more formal?
Right.
So I thought it was worth a shot to see if people wanted to learn from me with my... At that point, I had been teaching myself SEO because I shut down the food blog when I realized it wasn't making money and I had like 10 jobs at the time. So then I switched to a nutrition like article blog that I was using as a marketing tool to get people to find out about my membership site, which worked great, by the way. So I had learned all those skills and I saw the value in understanding SEO for attracting people to your website, which may or may not be important depending on your business model, but for somebody who's trying to monetize with like content creation and ads and affiliate links and sponsored content, you need traffic. So I had learned that. So I wanted to pass that skill on. So I just created a course on SEO and was like, hey, if you guys want to learn about it, come join me. And then that's been really successful. So I've been leaning into that now.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. So you're leaning more into the SEO and all of that. And, I've been trying to give you my money for that for the longest, but I just cannot seem to figure out a way that that's going to work for me, but I digress. However, I know that you have raving fans for that course. And so you guys, for those of you who are listening, I will be adding links to all things Erica Julson in the show notes. So no worries. The things that we are discussing here that Erica mentions about her services and things like that will be in the show notes so that you can get more info and sign up if you would like, because especially with SEO, I know it is super, super important. So Erica, you've had such a great journey along the way, and it sounds like you have learned so much about your career as a dietitian, what you want, what you don't want. And I think it's really important for dietitians to know that it's okay if you change things up. It's okay if you totally have to pivot and change. Like, I think we as a community of RDs can oftentimes be very perfectionistic to the point that it is our own detriment. We feel like either we can't start because it has to be this way, or we can't change things up because people may not come if they change things up. And I know even myself, I'm a testament to how like you change it all up and it still works out, because before I was doing this, I was working with women in my health coaching practice. And it was a very similar iteration of this, where I was working with women in their health in regards to self-care and mindset when it comes to their eating issues. And then I was like, in the dietitian Facebook groups, and I'm so tired of like you said, hearing the same thing. You keep hearing the same thing. And it's like, what should I charge? What should I charge? Or the complaints. I think that's the thing that really got me the most. The complaining behind the scenes about how much money we aren't making. And what I noticed was that there was a lot of mindset gunk going on. And because I have the background in mindset work, but I was just working with a different demographic, I was like, my own people need help. Like, I'm here to be like the Pied Piper for anyone who wants to follow me. Come on, let's do this together. So it's really great that you, Erica, were wise enough to listen to your intuition, and also not only your intuition, but listen to the people who were in the group who were asking these questions over and over and over again. And I think it's really good for those who are listening to this episode to understand, like, oftentimes we think we know what people need, but we don't. And because we think we know what they need, we don't listen to what they say they really want. And I think the combination of both can become such a great marriage when it comes to creating a really successful practice. So I think you have really found your sweet spot, and we will also continue to find our sweet spots as we continue to grow and evolve. So one thing I want to hear from you, though, is when it comes to dietitians not getting paid as much as they would want, or maybe even as much as other allied health colleagues, why do you think that is? Why do you think that are broke for the most part?
Yeah, I love this question because when I got into the field, had no idea this was even an issue. Like I jumped, like we talked about, I chose this path because I was going after something I was passionate about versus the income. And I think part of that was, so I never even really looked up like what the salaries were before I went. It was like not even something that mattered to me. Because I think I always knew that I was going to do something unconventional with it. Like it's more like I wanted the credential, and this is a trap I think that sometimes people fall into, but I wanted the credential to give me that like authority and the expertise, like even within the food blogging realm. It's like, oh, if I go back and I get a real degree in this, like then I have like so much more space and like people will listen, you know what I mean? So that was kind of more, I think, what drew me to it. So I don't feel like I can really speak a lot about why we have the income disparity in more like the clinical setting, because I've never even really worked in the clinical setting. So I don't know like the politics and all that, but I can imagine maybe it has something to do with our field being largely women, and maybe also being largely like preventative services that are hard to like tie to an outcome, like a financial outcome for a business. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
But I really come from the framework of like, you can create whatever reality in life that you want. So I never saw it as a limitation, just like, oh, this is something I love. I know I can make something out of it.
Yeah. And that's a mindset, you know, like even outside of the clinical setting, I tend to see budding entrepreneurs who really want to do this solo practitioner work, but they don't have a strong belief in it, or maybe they don't feel like they can make it work. Or this is one that really drives me crazy the most. How can I say it? The one where people question why they should have to charge so much, or why should people have to pay for health and wellness services? Like, seriously, I question why I have to pay 50 cents to put air in my tire. But hey, look, you guys, we have to pay for things that we need and things that we value. I'm certainly not going to drive my car up and down the street on a tire that is low in air, knowing that it's going to create further problems. And that's the mentality that I feel people need to have when it comes to paying for health and wellness services. Why wouldn't you invest in yourself through someone who has the skills and the resources and the wisdom to help you so you don't have problems further down the line? Or even if you come in with the problem, you can, as the practitioner, you can help that person deter even more problems further down the line. So the mindset that you had in the beginning was a gift because you didn't even think about it. I mean, I'm the same way. Like I never really thought about when I went into dietetics, I didn't think about salary. I went away to college. I had no idea what I wanted to do at first. And then I was in pre-med and then all these things. But I went into the field because it was something that I had struggled with for a very long time. Like I'm sure so many dietitians can relate to. Like so many dietitians get into this field because they were also struggling in one way or another. I never considered myself having an eating disorder, but definitely some forms of disordered eating and body dysmorphia that I wanted to work through. And back in that day, there weren't even terms for it. The only terms that I knew was anorexia and bulimia, and I knew I didn't have either one of those. But now, with hindsight being what it is, I can say, yes, definitely some significant disordered eating for sure. So mindset going in, whether it's clinical as an employee or it is someone who is a budding entrepreneur, mindset is everything. And I really want everyone who's listening to understand that no matter what path you choose, your mindset needs to be in alignment with what you want. So you say you want to make more money as a dietitian, then you need to first and foremost believe that that is possible. And you have to put the responsibility of generating that money on you, not on anything outside of you, but on yourself. How are you going to show up to make more money as a dietitian? And it sounds like you, Erica, did all of the things, like you did all of the tests and, like you were testing things out. You were your little mini scientist. You were testing out all the different things that you thought were right for you in the moment. And you had the wisdom enough to change things around, pivot when necessary. And I feel like that is what has brought you to where you are today. So what keeps you inspired and motivated to keep going?
Well, I have to say that I really feel lucky at this point. As I said, it's been like 6 years because I pretty much pursued entrepreneurship straight out of the gate. So 6 years of kind of honing what I'm doing to the point where I actually just like love everything. It doesn't really feel like work.
That's so good.
I know. You like talking about like manifesting and envisioning where you wanted to go. I always had a really strong desire to create an online business, and it didn't turn out exactly how, the details are a little different. Like I'm not a food blogger really. Like I still have my blog up, but not leaning into that at this moment. But I am running a successful online business from home, which is what I wanted first and foremost. So, I think I just had that. I was holding that vision and it eventually got there. But one tip, in case anyone's listening and they feel like their work that they're doing right now isn't totally what they're wanting, I tried to just like, anytime a new opportunity came my way, and it was better than what I had on my plate, I'd let something go. So it was like multi-year process of like bringing something in and letting something go. And then now, years later, everything on my plate I enjoy, but it definitely wasn't like that the whole time, So
I love that.
I think that helped keep me motivated back then, because it was like, it just kept getting better and better. And I kept seeing how the things that I didn't quite enjoy were on their way out,
Oh my gosh. I'm the queen of analogies. That's just how my brain works. So your process reminds me of how I've been operating lately with clothes. Like the clothes in my closet, I have to, anytime I buy something new, I have to get rid of something old that I'm no longer wearing because I don't like it, or it doesn't fit or whatever. But I don't allow myself to bring anything in new until I'm like really ready to get rid of something, or I recognize that something is definitely ready to go for whatever reason. So I love that. I love that. That's such a good process. And I think that for anyone listening who is kind of wondering, like, what could they do? That's a good place to start. Like, figure out what's not really working and why it isn't, and then ask yourself, is this something that I need to let go? Is it really in alignment with who I am right now? And the way to assess that, I usually, like when I'm working with clients one-on-one, I have them create a list of core values. And I notice in a lot of the business coaching programs, not too many business coaches are talking about the three things that I find are like super essential: your vision, your mission, and your core values. And when you are doing work that doesn't line up with who you are, those core values, then you know it's time to go. And it's also really important to understand what your personal strengths are as a person, as a human. Like if you're operating in your weaknesses, that's a problem. And if you're doing work outside of your strengths, that is also a problem. So for example, with myself, I know that, and I took the Strengths Finder test like about 5 years ago. So I kind of am speaking from that, but my top domains, as they call them, are relationship building and influencing. And I built this practice off of relationship building, period. Like I'm not into the whole funnels and the ads and the this and the that. I'm like, hey, we're both humans. Guess what? How can I help you? You know? And I know for you, Erica, you like to be somewhat behind the scenes and creating things for people to help people. And it sounds like you're doing such a great, well, it not sounds like, but you are doing a great job with your programs that are tremendously helpful to the RD community, the SEO, and then you have the website builder. Is that still up?
Yeah, so that was when COVID hit
Yeah.
and I was supposed to be gone for most of March for my wedding and honeymoon, and that all got canceled. So I had all this time in my schedule and I was like, what can I do? I mean, to help in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like a lot of people in that moment were worried, like, oh no, I can't see people in person. I need an online presence. And so I've made like at least 5 or 6 websites myself from scratch over the years. I started my first blog in 2010, which is wild to think about. So I was like, shoot, I mean, I have this checklist that I've used myself to create websites. Like, how about I turn that into like a free tutorial, which ended up being much more work and more involved than I envisioned, because I'm always like, okay, I try to like walk people through all the tech stuff with like videos and stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So yeah, I put that together to help people get over the hurdle of like, I need to be online, but I don't know anything about tech. And I also don't have like several $1,000s to spend on a website. So
Yeah.
that was the hole I was trying to fill. And then it also kind of worked out double duty that obviously if people want to take my course on SEO or any of the courses on monetizing your blog or email marketing, obviously you need a website. So I'm also setting
Yes.
people up to be able to even work with me, because if they don't have a
Yeah.
website, then it's not going to happen. So,
Yeah.
and it's monetized with affiliate links. So that's been a win-win-win, really. And it's not done
Yeah.
yet. I got all the stuff. It's people who are following along right now, they should have a website, but now I'm at the point where I'm teaching them how to like make a page and all that stuff. So yeah.
So what are your income goals let me ask you it this way. You can answer what your income goals are, or even what your ultimate vision is for the next 3 years. Like 3 years from now, what would you like the Unconventional RD to look like?
Love this question. I recently signed up for a group coaching program called Scale with Success with Caitlin Batcher.
Yay!
Yeah,
I like her.
Yeah, and I've only been in it a couple months, and my progress has been slightly slow, but it is a whole framework for going evergreen with your courses. And part of the things they ask you when you enroll is exactly that question, like, what are your goals? So my goals, I'll start with my goal in 1 year. My goal in 1 year would be to be making at least $15,000 a month in evergreen revenue from my course. What's going to be, I'm focusing on one course first.
Yes.
Because that was another recommendation, like,
absolutely,
simplify. So I'm just going to do an evergreen funnel for the SEO course and get that up and running, and then maybe do it for the other ones, but pending, see how everything goes. But my long-term goal, I want to be running $1 million business. I think that's I think it's possible within 3 years, honestly. Like, being in that group has totally, like, there's somebody in there who posted this morning. They've been working on this for 1 year, and they're making $150,000 a month from their online course.
Isn't that amazing? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just got chills when you said that, because I have so much going on behind the scenes that is going to line up with what you just said. However, I just want everyone to hear this. Erica says that her goal is to eventually have $1 million business. Now, and she also said, I believe this is possible. And reason being, because there's social proof. There is social proof. And the social proof, you guys, does not always have to be in our community, right? But there are dietitians. I have met one personally who has a 7-figure practice. She has like multiple practices in her demographic location, and she has dietitians working in her practices. And she and I had spoken about her hiring me to take it to the next level and all of that. But man, that is so doable. I am here for all of that. Oh my God, this is everything. I love that you said that.
And I love how you're talking about how there's so many different ways to do it too. Like, totally, I don't know. I just think if there's a will, there's a way, and a way that aligns with what your skills and your passions are. So I'm excited.
You should be excited. And I have a sense that just being in that group you're in and getting the mentorship and just being in community with others that are showing you what's possible really just keeps the fire burning for that. Am I correct?
Yeah. I've been I'm also in Denise Duffield Thomas's course and group, and that's also super inspiring. I'm not sure if it's all or mostly women, but people who are interested in working on their money mindset and making big money as a woman. But this one is extra inspiring because it's like, follow these steps, and like there's people who are 6 months, a year ahead of you, and they're like reporting back on how it's going, and you're like, okay, like this is my path, I can see it.
Yes, I love that particular group for you specifically, because it sounds like it lines up, and I'm talking about Caitlin Batcher's group. It sounds like it lines up with ultimately like what you really want is to have passive income, evergreen courses, and you're just, providing all of this value for people and you've already put the work in ahead of time. And so then, you're reaping the benefits of that. That lines up so well with the work that you are currently doing. And then, yes, are you referring to her boot camp? Her
Yeah.
money? Yeah, I did that back, maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. And I have her app on my phone that I use from time to
Yeah, the
time. And
tracker.
yeah, yes, she is the queen of the mindset. So I've done a lot of this mindset stuff. I've done a lot of it over the years. So Denise is definitely the queen. And she is another representation of what is possible when you make those mindset shifts. So good for you. So let's wrap this up, Erica, by you letting your colleagues know what you feel is or has been the biggest influence in your career as a dietitian to keep you going.
Probably perseverance, because they're maybe looking in now, it seems like everything I'm doing is like kind of easy and joyful, and it is for the most part pretty enjoyable and relatively speaking easier than stuff I did in the past. But oh my gosh, it was not always that way. So if I had given up when it was hard, I wouldn't be here today. So
Yeah.
there was
Perseverance.
lots of times where I was like, do I need to get a job? But I didn't, and I just kept going, and
Yeah. I'm pulling out my phone and I have the dictionary app on my phone. I like to use the thesaurus a lot when I'm creating things, but I want to just um pull up the definition of perseverance. I think we all know what it means for the most part, but I want to read because, we're dietitians. We want to know the real deal, right? So here's the definition of perseverance. Perseverance is a noun, believe it or not. We think of it as a verb sometimes, but it's a noun. And perseverance is steady persistence in a course of action, a purpose, a state, etc. Especially, here you go, you guys, especially in spite of difficulties, obstacles, or discouragement. Oh my goodness. So who is willing to persevere? Who's willing to have steady persistence in a course of action or a purpose or a state despite of the difficulties, the obstacles, or the discouragement? Who's willing to do that? In my opinion, this is how you make more money as a dietitian. To have perseverance because you have a purpose, you have a mission that you want to fulfill, you have a lifestyle that you want to live. Who's willing? Who is willing? The ones who are willing are the ones who will make this career into something that, out of all of the challenges, you'll make it into what you want for yourself, for your families, for your overall lifestyle, and hopefully leave a legacy behind. Because I know for me, I want to leave a legacy behind. And I believe, Erica, you will definitely leave a legacy behind in your own right. And I just want everyone to know that they have the ability to do the same.
yeah.
All right. Well, geez, this was awesome. You just really got my fire burning from the whole $1 million business thing. Oh my God. All
I
I have
want
to
more dietitians to be on that train.
Yes, more of us will be on that train because guess who is going to be the Pied Piper for that? Hello, here she is right here. So everyone listening, just wait. Just keep your eyes peeled open. I hate saying, keep your eyes open for, but seriously, it's coming. I'm going to be supporting all of us to have $1 million businesses very soon. All right. Thank you so much, Erica, for being here. And as I mentioned at the top, I am going to put all of the things about you and your business and the resources in the show notes. And I want everyone to take advantage of these resources because they are awesome. But thank you so much for being here today, and keep on keeping on.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
Yes, you're very welcome. Take care.
Yay.
Hey, if you want to learn more about how you can make more money as a dietitian, I want to invite you to check out my program, Charge What You're Worth. Now, to learn more about this program and how it can help you to become a top earner as a dietitian in business, just head on over to moneymindsetdietitian.com/work with me. Again, that's moneymindsetdietitian.com/work with me, where you can learn more about the Charge What You're Worth program and how it can help you.